Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Situation Room. We now know that India's false flag operation, their attempt to stage as what we've seen as the Palagham incident has clearly been exposed. We'll be talking about the ramifications of the international world looking at this incident. Of course, without the kind of bias that has been shown from the Indian side. Their exposure, that they've exposed themselves as a state which likes violence, which likes to perpetrate this kind of uninitiated attack that we've seen, and also of course the revocation of the Indus Water Treaty and the way that Pakistan has laid down the proofs in front of the world. We'll be talking about all of this. Of course, the test launched Abbasi missile system today, the way that Pakistan has tested it, diplomatically isolating India by exposing it, all of that today. I have with me Wajih, Abbasi, thank you so much for being with us today. We also have with us Fakhar Yousafzai, who's a senior journalist. Thank you for joining us today. Muhammad Ali Rashid from the PPP, who's spokesperson Sindh government, and Salma Malik, a foreign affairs expert. Let me go to Ali and then I'll come back to you. Ali, this latest situation with regard to our test, Pakistan's test launching the Abbasi missile, of course, and laying down all the proofs in front of the world to see, has exposed India in a manner, like never before. Of course, there are numerous cases in point if you look at Kulbhushan Yadav and other subsequent attempts that India has made to interfere in the region. How do you see this latest foray as far as India is concerned, and then of course the way Pakistan has dealt with it, very calmly, in a very diplomatic manner, exposing exactly what India has done, while of course our troops and our army is ready to retaliate to any kind of provocation from their side.
You're absolutely correct. I think India has been exposed. This was a false flag operation, and unfortunately, and fortunately for us, it happened. I think losing lives or lives lost anywhere is sad, and we condemn that. And but that being said, this entire thing, I think. India was unable to bring any evidence or support its claims. And the way India went about doing all this, I feel that even if you're doing a false flag operation, you have to make it seem believable. And that didn't even happen. Within 10 minutes of the incident happening, the government of India started blaming Pakistan for it. And we should keep in mind that this region, this Indian occupied Kashmir, is one of the most heavily guarded. There's the most Indian troops than anywhere in the world. In fact, not just Indian, but any area which has army. This is the most secure area. So it's a big question mark that how is it possible that like 200, 300 kilometers inside after the LOC, this happened. There was no army there at that time. I think it's very obvious that what happened, and I think in the Indian government has been exposed. And I feel that independent media outlets and media persons who have actually visited those areas have also started asking these questions that things are not something not adding up here. And that, but Pakistan, you're right, has been very confident about this entire thing, very calm. They've said we are open to an independent investigation. Please, if you have anything, if you have evidence, share it with us. But that's not happened because obviously there's nothing. But what you have to see is that the entire world, US, China, Russia, all of them stand with Pakistan, and nobody's taking India not taking India seriously. And that being said, I think
Right,
India
Ali,
is
let me come
actually.
back to you. I'm going to go to Salma and then I'll come back to you. Salma, we've just, India, the way that the journalists have been taken to Kashmir to show them that there are no terrorist camps, and does it itself not, how do you look at this attempt, and how does it change the overall, if at all, the way things are being seen at this time internationally?
Thank you very much. It is, I think, a very good step that Pakistan has done, and Pakistan is being very proactive when it comes to its image building or reclaiming the image that India has tried very hard to shatter, and also bring the facts out loud to the international community, to the media outlets and various other things. But I think we need to be more proactive, and I think when it comes to a comparison between India and Pakistan, their media is louder and crass at the same time. I mean, I would never want to be part of such a media, but the fact is that because they orchestrated all of these things, so they had already triggered their media to say what they needed to do. But Pakistan's taking the journalists there and showing to thought leaders what the real-time situation is extremely important, because they will go out and talk to their respective country media, and that's how the news is going to spread out. But at the same time, we also need to very proactively, through our different diplomatic channels, hammer this point home to the world capitals as to how India is very brazen in even repeating an oft-beaten tune, first doing it in Chatti Singh Pura and then doing various false flag operations and getting away with it, as to what he has done and what they have done and what they keep on doing. We do have the Prime Minister, the American Vice President's statement about saying that Pakistan needs to cooperate and all of that stuff that India really wanted him to say, which is not a surprise at all, because we know where G.D. Vance comes from and how all of this happened. It was basically for his eyes and ears. But the fact is that this thing is being exposed, and it needs to be further exposed. And once this episode is over, we should not just sit down and lower our guards. I think we should be on a media blitzkrieg about exposing India's disinformation campaign and the media blitzkrieg that they have floated. But also we need to keep in mind that India has a lot of money. And the Indian
I think that's very important, the way that you sum it up. Let me go to Fakhar Saab. Fakhar Saab, if you heard what Salma is saying, I think she's very right. Of course, this is a huge step that Pakistan has taken to show the world, what the actual situation is and what the false propaganda that's coming from the Indian side is actually showing. But in terms of proactive approach, what else can we do? What measures do you feel that we need to take as soon as possible? Ji, Fakhar Saab.
Ji, okay. Thank you very much. First of all, of course, I will talk about the propaganda of Indian media, because I am appearing on that on the daily basis. And I asked them on the first day of that 22nd of April that why you people are not going to investigate the matter properly. I think so this is the most important thing, that you should investigate the matter. After that, Pakistan is here, the India is here. We are not going somewhere else. Of course, you want to want that Pakistan and you are blaming Pakistan. Of course, we are here. In 2019 we were here, in 2025 we are here, but the thing is why you are exaggerating the things in front of the world. And especially I will talk about the international community. They are of course they are propagating the things in the United Nations as well as in front of the US, especially the Vice President of the US, J.D. Vance statement. Of course all the people know about that. We should work on the diplomatic front as well. It is very important, not only on our media side. Of course, we should participate in this fight from the media side as well as on the international forum. Turkey is standing with us, China is standing with us, or rest of the countries, especially the Middle East country, UAE and Saudi Arabia, very important for us. Of course, India is trying to this incident in front of the world, that they are trying to Pakistan, they bring Pakistan to the FATF list and things like that. They contacting to the IMF for the review program as well. They are using each and every aspect, each and every way. I think so we should clear in the front of the world, and we should fight our case, especially in the United Nations as well as in the diplomatic front, and especially on the media as well.
Fair enough. Wajih sahab, if you heard what Fakhar sahab is saying, overall, in terms of where we are, as far as media is concerned, do you think it's a difference? Because, of course, the style of the media is perhaps more vituperative. We've seen it's slanderous, it's downright abusive. Do you think that makes a difference to the world? Because we've said that, we know that the Prime Minister has said that we are willing to, take our part to an inquiry, an independent inquiry. We've also submitted, whatever information that we have. We've also submitted whatever proofs we have in front of the international community. Isn't this the right way forward diplomatically?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Diplomacy is a very cool game. And diplomats normally base their assertions on facts and their national interests. These are the prime things.
Right.
And the things are investigated, and then the opinion is made. But in the TV journalism especially, it's more like what the Indian media is doing since 22nd of April. They are presenting a jingoistic tone from the world. So probably within half an hour of the incident, they started this blaming Pakistan and going for the jingoistic shrills at the top of their voices. And they have been doing it, that has been continuing doing it, and they have been posing as if Pakistan has already been devastated, and Pakistan has already been sort of conquered. That sort of language is being used, and that sort of things are being done. But I don't think that this sort of behavior will affect the Indian public opinion. That will help the BJP or the Hindutva to get more support from the extremist Hindu mindset. But that will not change the world behavior, because the world, as I already said, they will depend more on the facts.
And Wajih sahab, we talk about the world, we talk about the fact that they will depend upon facts, but aren't they facts? That isn't Kulbhushan Yadav a fact? Sorry. And isn't it a fact that Indian interference in Canada? Isn't it a fact the way India chooses to antagonize this region repeatedly, to create this kind of atmosphere between two nations that are nuclear? Those are all facts, right?
Yeah, of course. And the world must understand that. Because the Hindutva ideology that is based on hatred, and the whole BJP game is creating hatred against Muslims and against Pakistan, and to get public support on those bases. And unfortunately, but I believe that these kinds of things will continue on the Indian side, and the world must take a notice. Because this is the same type of behavior which the Nazi Germany had, and they have that type of hatred. They are creating hatred against Muslims, and they are creating hatred against Pakistan. And unfortunately, I think if this time we avert a war, maybe in 5 years we avert a war. But ultimately, if these jingoistic tones of the Indian ruling party and this Hindutva mentality is not checked, then the South Asia will someday, God forbid, it will go for a very devastating war, and the world will repent of not opposing,
reacting to this kind of this kind of propaganda, which is completely baseless. Let me go to Dr. Salma and come back to you. Dr. Salma, we know that India is threatening us, and of course as far as IMF is concerned, FATF is concerned, and we know that most of it is hyperbole. But in terms of proactive diplomacy, Do you think that we need to perhaps, speed up more in that regard? And also in terms of organizations, we have unfortunately seen that international organizations haven't been able to do much in the face of aggression, whether we look at Israel, whether we look at India now, whether we look at other areas in the world, where consistently those that are we see tyranny, we see propaganda, we see false narratives being put forward. So then where is the efficacy of these international organizations in the first place?
I think that's a very important and unfortunately controversial question, because all these international organizations, they talk about human rights, values, norms when it suits them. If they want to bog down a country, they want to sanction that country, they feel that they can do that to this particular any particular country, they will bring down their might very heavily. And we have seen that happening to various countries. Those countries that fall out of their favor, they are sanctioned heavily, and all of these norms and rule-based system is pushed down their throat. So that much about international norms and everything. If we were so much particular about international norms, what has been happening for the past 1.5 years, very actively in Gaza would not have been happening. What has been happening in Palestine and illegally Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir since 1947-48, and even before that, would not have happened and would not have been happening despite all the resolutions and everything. So that factor is taken care of. When it comes to Israel, I think you have raised a very important factor here. What we are missing out when we look at the India-Pakistan bilateral profile is that there is a third country which holds immense hatred for Pakistan, which holds immense abhorrence for Pakistan, being Pakistan as a Muslim country, which is a custodian of Muslim rights worldwide, which feels that whose heart throbs for the Muslims worldwide. And we are also doing as much as we can for the Palestinians under the Israeli occupation. And look at the pattern how India has gone about, especially under Narendra Modi, what Bharat has done to Maqbooza, Jammu and Kashmir. And we will actually find that there are a lot of similarities and the same patterns as what Israel has done to Palestinians and what Modi is doing to Jammu and Kashmir and in Jammu and Kashmir. So that factor is there. As for the proactive diplomacy and proactive campaigning, this is something very important. Pakistan, for once during this particular episode, since the 22nd of April, we have seen Pakistan as being very proactive. This is something which is not a pattern which was very familiar to Pakistan. We have seen that the civil, the military, the civil society, everyone, all institutions, all actors, unanimously and spontaneously are on the same page. And everyone, the minute India started to raise the voice and the noise about Palagham, everyone unanimously said that this was a false flag, it was a staged operation, and we stuck to the fact. And we have done a lot of, so there's a lot of moral value in what we are doing. But having said that, the key question that you asked about, should we be doing more? Yes, I think we should be doing a lot more. We also need to see that when we compare ourselves to India, from the personal to the institutional level, to the Indian diaspora, to those who are in policy making and thinking, discourse development sector, they're
Sorry, Salma, thank you so much. I know that you have limited time. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to go to Ali Rashid. Ali, if you heard what Salma is saying, overall, of course, she's talking about a more active diplomacy. Do you think that, of course, all stakeholders are on one page with regard to what India is doing, with regard to the attempt, that we've seen as far as this false flag operation is concerned, and of course, terrorism that is consistently perpetrated within Pakistan through other countries also, as far as having a neighbor like India is concerned. What steps are being taken at this time as far as the government is concerned, more in terms of proactive diplomacy?
I think a lot of awareness. The Prime Minister has been in touch with all the countries, Saudi, UAE, the US, Russia, China. We've spoken to everyone. And it doesn't come as a surprise to anyone because I think the Indian intelligence raw has been very proactive in external affairs when it comes to the US, Canada, this Sikh movement. They've assassinated people. The Canadians have spoken about it. United States has spoken about it, and they've been involved in a lot of shady activities, and that has been proven in the past. So we obviously Pakistan's always been a victim, but I think the world or on a global stage also, I think India has been exposed. And I feel that India was not expecting this kind of a response, a lukewarm response from the world when it carried out this false flag operation. And even for instance, hypothetically speaking, even if we were to believe that this was not a false flag operation, then it was an intelligence failure. If you have 900,000 troops in Indian occupied Kashmir, how is it possible that somebody can come into your region 200 kilometers past the LOC and attack? First, you say it was andhadhun firing, that it was indiscriminate. Then you said it was targeted killing. Just they were attacking Hindus, which were again exposed. Muslims were also killed. And I think the Indian media is asking questions. If you look at the speeches in the parliament, politicians are asking questions. It has been an intelligence failure within uh, in the Indian ranks, within the raw. There's been a lot of changes what the government has made. A lot of army officers have been shuffled around. A lot of Sikh army officers who were posted at some important nuclear installation in India, they've been moved around. If they are not worried, if they feel there's nothing wrong, then why do they have the need? And I'll say something here. I think the Pakistan army is ready to fight. We've been fighting for the past 25, 30 years. We're a battle hardened army. When was the last time you've heard Indian army fighting? They don't know how to fight. They will do anything to avoid a war. And this is just childish behavior from them. If you see, banning the Pakistan Prime Minister from X or social media platforms, um, blaming Pakistan without any concrete evidence, not talking to us, not talking to anybody about it. So it's just very immature behavior from the Indian front, and I feel they're on the
Let me come
back.
back to you, Malik. Let me go to Wajih Sab here. Wajih Sab, there is, if you heard what, of course, Ali is saying, it is, in a sense, very immature, the behavior that we are seeing, banning the Prime Minister, banning, other social media accounts of, actors, celebrities, media personalities. It seems to be rather petty, and it seems to be, something that one feels is a desperate measure, in a sense. When they feel that perhaps their voice is not being heard, that the lies and the propaganda is not really seeping in this time. If we look at the reaction of the world is concerned, even the US, we talk about it, yes, but overall, don't you feel that, the US has taken, sort of a step back to look at the whole picture?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the accounts banning of the celebrities are concerned, you have used the very right word, petty-mindedness. Because, what is the objective? Objective there is that these, when you have a celebrity account or you have any social media account which is monetized, you get some benefits from Google and other platforms for the comments and likes and that sort of things that people do. And they just want to deny those benefits to Pakistani celebrities.
But also the voices that the celebrities are raising, they're obviously resonating with their own people.
Yeah, that's the other aspect.
Right.
That's the other aspect. Because that is the aspect that which it's very strange. And that which India has been over the decades has been posing itself as the only democracy in the third world probably. And they said that they have freedom of expression and that sort of things. But what Modi's India has done, they have just stopped all the independent mindedness from media, and the independent voices are being curtailed in India. Now, when the independent voices are curtailed, Indian independent voices are curtailed. Now, what they are doing is that nothing facts come out from the outside. So, because the Pakistani government and Pakistani media personalities, Pakistani media persons, they were giving the other side of the picture to the Indian media, and some of our our media persons are quite popular in India, and they have been to India and they have been writing in Indian newspapers and having doing programs on the Indian TV channels also, and being guests on most of the occasions, and people know them in India. But they were giving factual type of interpretation to the events. Because this Palagham incident is something that Indian media and Indian government jumped to the conclusion. Even if just we say that it's not state managed, it wasn't a false flag operation. Even then, they jumped to the conclusion, and they their own mistakes were the mistakes of the Indian intelligence were brushed aside, and they just blamed Pakistan for everything, and put all the blame on Pakistan. So they wanted that thing to be taken as a fact, and the Pakistani media persons were giving the other side of story, and they by doing all these things, they curtailed their voices. But it's a internet age, and you can't really ban everything. Yeah.
Let me go to Fakhar Sahib. Fakhar Sahib, we know that India is in the habit of becoming a bully. There's always been that kind of belligerence. There's always been that tone. But do you think they're also frustrated because they haven't been able to garner the kind of reaction they were expecting? There are people who are turning around and saying, but what? They're asking questions. Their own citizens are asking, but how? Yeah. But why didn't you know, and how did it happen? And then so many 2 hours later you seem to have all this prepared against Pakistan. How did it happen? Their opposition leaders are asking those questions, and Modi seems to have been taken aback a little bit because he doesn't seem to have grasped that people would come up with these kind of questions.
Mahrukh, you are absolutely right. Actually, a weeks ago we were on the situation was very warm on both sides in Delhi and Islamabad. But right now you are absolutely right. The people are asking questions, especially the Indian people from the Indian side, Kashmir people are asking questions that if you have a large number of army, that is 900,000 or 1 million or 800,000, but if you have that army in Kashmir, how is it possible that the people coming from Pakistan 200 or 300 kilometers away, and they are capable of this to attack, and they are killing the 26 or 27 people?
And then they seem to have disappeared.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very valid point, and Pakistan should talk on this with the international media as well as on the international forum. As well as the social media is concerned, I don't know that. I asked this question from the government of Pakistan as well, that why we are banning the Twitter. We should compete them. Actually, they are creating so many things over there against Pakistan. We should respond them on social media. We should open that, especially.
But Fakhar Sahib, responding is one thing, but you've seen, the kind of media content that's coming, and internationally, I believe that it's been questioned because it is so biased.
Yeah.
Their media and its independence has come into question internationally, because they don't seem to be sticking to a coherent narrative, like you said also. There are people who came from across the border, but they disappeared, and there's this huge amount of army that's stationed there.
Yeah.
And then after 2 hours, you seem to have all this intel which you didn't have before. So it doesn't, even broadly speaking, it doesn't tie in. And that is the problem for India and Modi particularly, because whatever benefit he was trying to garner domestically doesn't seem to have happened. Do you agree with this as far as domestically for him?
Actually, they are facing so many problems internally, and especially the Bihar election is very important for them, as you know. And unfortunately, it's happening from last 12 or 15 years, as well as the BJP in power. This type of incident occurred in especially the Indian side or the Indian occupied Kashmir. We have seen so many times this. I'm not talking about the banning of their channels. Of course, if Pakistan government want to ban that, okay, it's fine. If they are banning our channels, of course, reciprocally, we will do that. I'm talking about the Twitter. The Twitter in Pakistan, I think so right now, the government should allow the Pakistani people on Twitter that we can compete them in everywhere. I think so this is a very good time for this type of thing, as well as the matter is concerned of Palagham attack is concerned. We shouldn't. We are talking about that we want the intermediation from the third country, and they should investigate it. Of course, this is a very powerful case. Pakistan is fighting that, but the thing is that we, especially the US, which is very important, and the Indian media are bringing this news that US is standing with India, not with Pakistan. I think so they are balanced right now. If I'm talking about the US, they are balanced. They didn't say anything against the Pakistan that India should attack. They talk about that India and Pakistan should avoid a war. And I think so this is very important for both the country, not only for Pakistan but for India as well, because they are saying that we are progressing very fast, and our growth rate is 6.5 and like that.
But when we talk about initiation of how it happened and how it came about and all of that, of course the world knows that it's really coming from India only. And you know, that kind of content is coming from them, the kind of, we've seen them talk about it, the way that it's been exposing itself. And taking, of course, the journalists is a huge step for Pakistan. But like, again, we talked about proactive diplomacy must continue on our side. But media and media's role, I believe, media that our media, the way that it has taken this, the way that it has talked about it, has done it in an independent capacity. Whereas across the border, you will see, the quality of what is coming forward is largely just abuse.
Yeah, of course. You are absolutely right. If I compare the Pakistani media with the Indian media, of course the Pakistani media is far ahead from the Indian media. Of course, their big channel on the top rating. They are not competing a small channel from Pakistan. If we are sitting here in a TV show, we are not abusing anyone. We are sitting on the state-owned channel in Pakistan, but we are not using the abusing language. Nobody is using the abusing language from Pakistan side, and I think so. We are winning. We are winning on this platform. We are winning from them. Therefore, they ban our media because, of course, the news from the Pakistani media and the Indian people was watching, that was unbiased. Of course, they raising the question after the Palagham attack, and that was very difficult for the Indian government how to tackle those questions. Therefore, they ban our media. I think so. We should
because the Prime Minister has also said, we are of course the first step that we took was ask them, let's do an independent inquiry, and we are willing and fully behind an independent inquiry. We're willing to submit anything and everything that they would like us to. But of course, we haven't had any credible, any response that can be credited to a nation that wants peace in the region. So unfortunately, I feel they're only exposing themselves at this juncture in time. Let me go to Ali. Ali, can you hear me?
Yes.
Like I said, exposing themselves, asking for, on the moment it happened, we said, let's look into this. Then we had the Prime Minister talk about how we're willing to do an independent inquiry and submit to any documentation, anything that, would be needed from our side. Then, of course, we saw the Info Minister have a press conference for the international media and, bringing it to their notice, the way that these events happened, whatever proofs that we have. Have we had a credible response in your opinion?
I feel Pakistan, showed a very big heart the way India started accusing Pakistan and got aggressive. We could have said, do whatever you want. We were not involved, but do whatever you want. If you want war, we'll have war. But we were, mature enough to tell them, look, there's a misunderstanding. Even if you believe that we were involved, please show us what evidence do you have, or what is it that makes you believe that we were involved, so we can discuss it, which shows you how mature our diplomacy is, how mature our government is, how mature our country is. There, they had nothing. You registered an FIR within 20 minutes. And the way from that incident, I mean, you had no intelligence earlier prior to this incident happening, but immediately after this incident happened, within 20 minutes, you've registered an FIR. You've also nominated people, that these people came from across the border and Pakistan was involved. So, obviously, this will raise a lot of eyebrows. This will raise a lot of questions. And I think people, because of social media.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being with us. We're going to be taking a short break, after which we'll come back and talk more about the situation. We've seen India's attitude. We've seen Pakistan, commit to any inquiry, an independent one, and we'll be talking more about the current situation with regard to India's false flag operation. Thank you for joining us, Wajih Abbasi Saab. Thank you for being with us. Fakhar, Yousafzai, thank you for being with us. Dr. Salma, Malik, thank you for joining us today. Please stay with us.